The story begins. Is it such a sin for me to take what's mine until the end of time? We were more than friends before the story ends, and I will take what's mine, create what God would never design. Our love had been so strong for far too long.
Hey guys, it's been a little while since I brought you a video on any of my video game collections. There's not much left to do. I only have a couple more video game systems and collection videos that I could do before I start to update some of the older ones. But one that I've actually not gotten around to doing, and it's kind of a shame to say, is my PlayStation 1 collection. So definitely want to take the time to show you guys my PlayStation 1 collection. It's by no means an incredible collection, but there are some good games in there, and some games that I'm really happy to have in my gaming collection overall. So without further ado, let's go ahead and show you guys what I have in my collection. Marvel vs. Capcom, the first one for the PS1. I know this isn't the best version of the game. The Dreamcast version is obviously better, and needless to say, the arcade version is better, but this is really well done on the PlayStation 1. And as far as fighting games are concerned, this is probably one of my favorite fighting series. I'm looking forward to the new one that's coming out for the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and just getting a chance to play the series, a brand new entry into the series again. This next game is actually one from my original PlayStation 1 collection, and at one point, like a lot of people have done over the years, and like I did with other games, I traded in almost all my PlayStation 1 games, but this is one that did not leave my collection. That's Diablo. This here, I had so much fun playing with my brother. We used to put hours and hours and hours into this game, and as you can see, this is complete as well. Next one is Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2, really, you don't need to say too much about it. This is the Black Label version. This is a game that I got for really inexpensive. Somebody brought it into GameStop to trade it in, and I ended up snagging it for really cheap. Another game, Metal Gear Solid. I picked this up, fairly recently for not too much money. It was a game that I wanted to add to my PlayStation 1 collection, and was able to get it for cheap. Next game is Silent Hill. Silent Hill, right along the lines of Resident Evil 2. This is a great game from Konami, and despite the fact that the series has suffered lately from really poor iterations, especially with Silent Hill 4, I believe it was, this is a great game. This really, obviously introduced the series to everybody out there, and really set a high mark for the series. Next game is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Obviously, it's Castlevania, it's Symphony of the Night, regarded by many Castlevania fans as possibly the best Castlevania game out, and I would have to agree on that. Great graphics, it's aged really well, and especially for people who are looking for, to get back into retro gaming, this is a great game to add to the collection. I was able to find this recently for around $25, and I picked it up real quick because Black Label, and the fact that it's just a great game to have in the collection. Here's another game from my original PlayStation 1 collection. That's Point Blank. As you can see, there's a crack in the case, but other than that, everything's there. I still believe I have the gun con somewhere around, but through moving and when I moved into my house, I don't know exactly where it is, but I think I could find it if I look for it a little bit. Point Blank, it's that classic light gun series. Basically, you have a lot of different mini games, and I had a lot of fun playing this back in the day. Haven't played it in a while, but great arcade game, and a lot of fun. And people who like light gun games, this is you probably already played this, but if you haven't, definitely a game worth checking out. Next game is Namco Museum Volume 3, and this has some really good games on there. You got Dig Dug, Pole Position 2, Galaxian, Miss Pac-Man. So just some really great games that you can find it for pretty cheap, $10, something like that. Next game is a Working Designs title, Silhouette Mirage. It's kind of hard to explain this game properly without showing you guys gameplay footage, but really unique title, actually done by Treasure. So for those of you who are familiar with Treasure, it really pushes the limits of the PlayStation 1 console. And next game is Chrono Cross. Definitely not as good as Chrono Trigger, but it was a game that I picked up for cheap on the PlayStation 1. I haven't even played it, but another Squaresoft title, and overall just a game that I was happy to have in my collection. Next game is Gears, another Squaresoft game, and again, just another game that I haven't really gotten around to playing yet, but I added it to my collection more recently. And this actually involves mechs, and I don't know how everything plays out in it, but it does have some really cool cutscenes in it. This next game is Parasite Eve. Most of you are probably familiar with it. It is another Squaresoft title. You're seeing a common trend with a lot of my games here. But Parasite Eve is kind of like a horror survival RPG. And overall, it's got a really cool combat system, a really unique gameplay style. I'm really early on in the gameplay of this, so I've played maybe 10-15 minutes, but it's definitely aged pretty well for an RPG of its style. I do believe that they're remaking this on the PSP, so I'll look forward to that one, and I might actually be able to play that a little bit more so than this, but so far I actually have enjoyed playing it. Next game is Parasite Eve 2, just kind of the sequel and more of the same. As you can see, just some really cool graphics, especially for the time, and some really interesting cutscenes. But, like I said, just kind of more of the same. Next game is Final Fantasy Chronicles. What you got is Final Fantasy 4, Chrono Trigger, and I think that's it. Anyways, I picked this up for cheap one day when I was out shopping for video games, and decided to add it to my collection. It is a greatest hits title, but for the price I paid, it was kind of not a big deal. Now the next game I could talk about forever, because this is actually one of my favorite games of all time, and this game holds a special place in my heart because at one point I actually traded this game in. It took me a while to find it again and purchase it again, and actually I didn't do that, my wife did. She actually bought this for me for one of my birthdays, complete with the strategy guide and everything, and she even went as far as getting the Black Label edition, so that was really cool. But Final Fantasy VII, it goes without saying, this is a great RPG. I know there's mixed feelings as far as how good this is, and maybe that some people have hyped this up or overhyped it. But I love the game, and I just love it just for nostalgia's sake. This is one of those games that really got me into RPGs. Final Fantasy VIII. I know some people like this better than Final Fantasy VII, but I could never really get into this. It just didn't grab my attention like Final Fantasy VII did. And it's been some years since I played this, but overall, I thought the game was really cool. I thought there were some unique additions to this game, and I did like it, but just not as much as Final Fantasy VII. Next game is Final Fantasy IX, which I actually have never played. I bought this off somebody for like 20 bucks sealed, and I know that that's probably about the average price for it. You can find it, it's pretty readily available, but overall I was happy to find a sealed copy for $9, and look forward to maybe eventually getting a chance to play this one. Next two games are probably two of the rare games in my collection altogether, but Lunar Silver Star Story complete. This is complete. It has everything in it, and I'm not going to go into the details of pulling everything out. Yeah, this is a great game. Great game from Working Designs, and just some really interesting stuff that they added into this as a kind of like a bonus or collector's edition bundle. And the sequel, Lunar 2. Again, this is complete now. You'll notice with these games that the it has some shelf damage and some shelf wear, but this does have everything intact, and really another game that I'm just so happy to have in my collection. And the next set of games are all games that I obtained for free, so I didn't purchase these, didn't pay anything for them. You got Cool Borders, 2001. You know, it's probably better than any of the recent snowboarding games that have come out, like Shaun White snowboarding. I'd probably enjoy this more, but I have no opinion on it. Casper, again, it was free. NHL 2001. Actually, this is probably from my collection. I used to always play the NHL series, and I enjoyed this one from what I remember. Not as much as NHL 96, but still it was another good entry in the NHL series. Bushido Blade 2, this was a freebie. This is one that I got for free. I wish I had it complete, but you know, for free, what are you going to do? It's a different type of fighting game. It's more along the lines of a strategy type of fighting game, and I really wish I could find this complete and find the first one as well for a reasonable price, but you know, I'm sure I'll come across it eventually. Rival Schools, for free, definitely well worth it. This is a pretty good fighting game. I haven't played a lot of it, but you know, it was a free game, and from what I know and from the different people I've talked to, this is a good fighting game. Toy Story 2, love the movie. I don't know how great the game is, but it was free. Nickelodeon Rocket Power, Team Rocket Rescue. I'll probably never play it, but whatever. Tekken 2, I remember playing this back in the day. I've always loved the Tekken series, and you know, this is another good one, but definitely hasn't aged as well as some of the other fighting games. Disney's World Quest Magical Racing Tour. It actually says Collector's Edition. Don't know what's collectible about it. And Tarzan. So that right there actually completes my PS1 collection. I do have one more game that I have somewhere in my game room, and that's Gekio Shooting King, I think it is, and it's just basically a top-down shooter, but it's also a really good game, and I picked it up recently for like $6, but overall that's all that I have for my PS1 collection. I know it's not my largest collection. It definitely is nowhere close to my DS collection, but it's a growing collection, and it's something that I'm trying to reclaim some of those games that at one point I had gotten rid of. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as I get more PS1 games, I will definitely update you guys on what I picked up. Anyways, until next time, thanks for watching.